speaking of American heroes, their son Aaron was an American.
Yes,
is an American hero. Billy and Karen Vaughn. The name of their I read about this story and was just moved. The name of the organization is For Our Son and For This Cause. And I'll introduce ladies first. Karen, are you there?
I am. So wonderful to be with you. We have so much respect for your work there.
Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. And Billy, you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I saw y'all on Fox News. Who was that interview with?
Most recently, we were with Hannity a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Yes, I watched that whole interview on the Fox News website, and that's what I told my producer, please try to get Billy and Karen on, because I want more people to hear their story about what happened here.
Yep. Thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely. Karen, why don't you, by the way, where do y'all live?
We live in Florida, in South Florida.
Yeah. Okay. Karen, why don't you tell our listeners who don't know anything about this story, they didn't see that report, tell our listeners what happened with Aaron, who Aaron was and what happened.
Sure. Aaron is our 30-year-old son who was killed last August 6, 2011, when his helicopter was shot down in the Tangi River Valley of Wardak Province, Afghanistan. He was a member of SEAL Team 6, and a lot of people remember when I tell you that it's the crash that killed 30 Americans, 22 of whom were members of the SEAL community. And, there's just a lot of suspicion raised about it. Billy and I are speaking out about the rules of engagement that our forces are being compelled to fight under. It is getting our soldiers killed, these rules that this administration is bearing down on them, and that's the message that we're trying to spread, and that's what we were talking about on Hannity. But, yes, our 30-year-old son left behind a wife and 2 small babies. His daughter was only 3 weeks old when he deployed, and his son was just under 2 years old. So we've had a huge family tragedy. It's opened our eyes and made us ask questions, and now we're seeking answers. And the more questions we have, the more difficult the answers we're getting.
But Karen, Aaron told you, I guess it was you, maybe it was Billy, but I think it was you. You said Aaron had communicated with you before his death that something was fishy over there.
Right. Well, what happened is just as soon as Joe Biden released the information that it was his team that killed Osama bin Laden, within 24 hours, which was an unprecedented move. Everybody knows that. Everybody's eyebrows went up. It was an unprecedented move. Within 24 hours, Billy called me and said, Aaron called me and said, Mom, you need to wipe your social media clean. Get every single reference about me or any of my buddies off of it. And, I was extremely concerned. He was extremely concerned. I rarely heard Aaron sound like he was worried about anything, and really fear wasn't part of his life, but there was definitely a sense of fear in his voice. And he said, there's chatter and all of our lives are in danger, including yours. So 93 days later, Aaron was dead, and Billy and I have a lot of questions about why that was leaked, what's happening in this administration, what's happening with the high-level ranking military officers that are allowing this to go on. We're raising questions. Yes.
We're talking to Billy and Karen Vaughn from Florida. Their son, Aaron, passed away in that helicopter crash on August 6, 2011 that took 30 American lives in Afghanistan. He was a member of the SEAL team over there. Billy, you go ahead and tell our listeners what you were telling Sean Hannity that night about the rules of engagement and why that's hurting our efforts there.
Well, okay. What we have found out since this happened with Aaron and the rest of them is that the Afghan National Security Ministry, the Afghan National Police, and the Afghan National Army are all involved on every pre-op, post-op, all the planning, all the intel of every special op that takes place in Afghanistan. This is straight. The things that I'm about to tell y'all are not things that we've heard rumors on. We've gotten this straight from the military. These are the same people who are involved in the Green on Blues, These are people that our military has come to trust, but you know from the very religion that they're involved in that they're allowed to seek any means they can. So this makes it unsafe for our troops. That's the first thing. The second thing is that night they were flying on a 1960 some odd model helicopter that was originally a CH-47C converted over to a CH-47D in the early 1980s. And reason for that is because even though it was a special ops mission done in total darkness, zero illumination, according to the military, there are not enough special ops choppers and special ops pilots that would normally fly with the 160th Aviation in an MH-47. There are not enough because the Obama administration has exponentially increased the amount of special operations while at the same time making it look like to the citizens that were ramping down over there. So there's not enough equipment. There are not enough pilots. They were being flown on a National Guard helicopter by National Guard pilots. Under the rules, even though there had been a 3.5-hour firefight with Rangers going on where Aaron and the SEALs went in, 3.5 hours, the valley was on high alert. The AC-130 gunship, Spectre gunship in the air, and the AH-64s had people walking down the valley with RPGs and heavy weapons, but because of the rules of engagement, no pre-assault fire was allowed as this chopper came in loaded with Americans. And it landed just like it was landed tried to land like it was landed at the Walmart parking lot as the most impressive lethal air weapon team the world has ever seen, sat helplessly and watched this chopper being shot out of the sky with those Americans killed because of the ridiculous criminal rules of engagement. After it was shot down, all they did is one chopper laid down suppressive fire, not to kill the enemy, but to keep them away from the bodies of the warriors, because we know what these Taliban savages will do to their bodies. There again, because of the rules of engagement, they did not take out the people who fired the RPGs, even though they identified them, because they were on a tower over a building, and because, due to the rules of engagement, they could not tell if there were friendlies in that building or not, so they did not take them out.
Talking to Billy and Karen Vaughn, that was Billy telling us about what happened the night that his son Aaron, who was a special operations chief, a SEAL, was shot down in Afghanistan August 6, 2011. Hey, Karen, what is at your website, forourson.us, forourson.us? What are y'all hoping to accomplish there?
Well, basically, we just use the website to update people, on our cause, what we're fighting right now, so that they can keep up with where we're speaking, what's happening. Billy and I both use it as a blog just to get information out. And basically it was set up originally just as a memorial page to Aaron, where we could, tell people who he really was. So that's our purpose. I would like to say that we are starting a foundation currently in the process of initiating a 501c3 called Operation 300, and that will be a camp for sons of men who have died while serving their country, and it's going to be a high-level, what am I trying to say, where kids will do extreme sporting, like things they would have done with their father. So that you can check that out at operation300.com if you would. That would be awesome if people would take a look at that. It's going to be, of course, in memory of Aaron. So the two websites are forourson.us, right? And then what's the other one? Operation300, just 300.com. Billy, what can be done here? I mean, who can help with these rules of engagement? Because we civilians, short road, because your son served in the armed forces, but I mean, are the military, the guys who are taking commands from Washington, are they kind of unable to speak out because they might be disciplined and that's out of order, or what? Explain to us why this is so hard to get rectified. Okay, and I hate to say this. But
they're not speaking out, obviously, and I believe it because of what you said, because they are afraid that retribution will be taken against them, maybe by the administration or by whatever. However, some of them have bought into this. They've bought into this same ideology that the Obama administration. You can hear the voices of people like General Allen, General Dempsey, the things that they say about the enemy that we're fighting and how we have to pet and humor this enemy over there instead of giving our warriors rules of engagement that favor them and not the enemy. So what I think is, in Congress, we have some congressmen and women who a few who are interested in fighting this battle, but it's going to take an outcry from the American citizen to get these rules of engagement changed. The first thing we need to do is replace this president and everybody under him. He is directly responsible for the rules of engagement. When Aaron came home from Afghanistan in 2010, he was deeply disturbed by the way the war was being fought. We need to replace him, but that's only the beginning, because these rules of engagement are deeply seated through our military. And the men that we have talked to on lower levels, not generals and admirals and things like that, these men are sick and crying out and disturbed about these rules of engagement that their higher-ups are forcing them to fight under. And, of course, it's on the political level where it is. So it's not going to be an easy thing.
One other question, Karen, or Billy, either one, but Karen, I'll ask you, and if you don't want to answer, Billy can. What about that night? Are y'all saying that what happened, you think, was, or you know for certain, that the enemy, the Taliban, whoever shot this, our helicopter down, was tipped off on the flight pattern into the landing area? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I tell you what.
Go ahead.
We feel pretty confident that that's true.
Okay.
That's all I can really say right now about that.
That's what it sounded like, Bill.
Well, let me say this. The military, the strongest language the military has used to the families is we don't believe it was an ambush. But upon hearing the testimony from the military, and now you got to remember they still had to make the RPG, the shot with the RPG. But I don't believe that's what the Taliban had counted on. From hearing the testimony and the things that the AC-130 gun crew has said about the way that the enemy had heavy weapons, but yet they didn't use them on the Rangers. They began to retreat down the valley, back toward the way that the chopper was coming in carrying the SEALs. They began to retreat, yet they didn't flee. According to the military, they went tactically from house to house, trying to gather up other people. And I believe from studying the testimony and seeing this, what they plan to do is they plan to be behind the chopper when it did land. Had they not made the RPG shot, they would have still been able to surprise the SEALs, take out 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, and it would have been a great victory. So, yes, my feeling is they were tipped off. They knew the chopper was coming. You could never convince me different unless the military has something they hadn't showed us. And they've not showed us because they've said we don't believe it was an ambush. But basically we haven't been able to prove it.
Yeah.
So,
well, Billy and Karen Vaughn have been our guests, VAUGHN. And Karen, again, what are the two websites that people can visit to learn more about Aaron? You memorialize Aaron here, but also about this other cause you got going on.
Thank you. It is For Our Son. That's FOROURSON.US, and then Operation300.com.
And his widow and your two grandchildren, can we pray for them? What are their names?
Absolutely. Kimberly, Reagan, and Chamberlain, and that would mean a lot to us. Absolutely.
Well, Billy and Karen, thank you so much for being with us. Our hearts go out to you over the loss of Aaron, but he was a great American patriot that served our country, and we appreciate your family.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great. By the way, Aaron loved the Lord, Tim. He loved the Lord, had a faith in Jesus.